You're going to spend the next several weeks sharing your testimonies. This is going to be an exciting time of you not only having the ability to minister to those in your group, but to be able to be ministered to, that God is going to speak personally to you as you listen to other people's story and His story in their lives. I want to read to you Romans 8:28 through 30. It says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. For those God foreknew, He also predestined to be conformed to the image of His Son, that He might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those He predestined, He also called. Those He called, He also justified. And those He justified, He also glorified." So during this time, we get to put this scripture into practice. We can see here that it tells us in His word, and we believe it to be true, that in all things God works together for good for those who love Him and who have been called. That's us as believers. We do deeply love God, and we have been called. And so He's going to make all things work together for good. I think we can look at our testimony, and you've looked at your testimony in three parts: the past, the present, and the future. So in the past, this verse says that all those things that have happened to us up to this point work together for good. Now, some of those things we can see. We can see God's hand, and we can say those work together for good. I can see where something good came out of something good or something bad. But some of those things you haven't seen God's hand clearly in yet, and may never see it. But we still stand on the promise that in all things, God works those things together for good for us. We can see in the present that God is working. He says that I came to give you life and life abundantly in John 10:10. So we believe that, and we stand in confidence and authority, not only as we share our past, believing that God is working for the good in that, but in our present, that He is working. And we have confidence and authority as we share our story, even if we don't fully understand or our feelings don't line up with that. We know that He is in the middle of it. And then we look at the future, and it says here that He is predestined. He already knows the destiny for us. He is the author and the finisher of our faith. And so we know here that we can know that because He knows our destiny, we walk confidently in what He's doing now, but what He's going to do in the future. And we can trust Him fully in that. So those dreams and those desires and those things that are stirred within us that God has called us to, we can say yes to, and we can even share those things with one another because He has already determined our destiny and He walks this path with us. So I want to encourage you that it says that He has not only decided our destiny, but He has called us. He's called us. We can confidently share with one another our story with no insecurities because He's called us. You have been called. And He has justified you. He has forgiven you, and He's walking with you. And He has also glorified us. So we can walk in the glory of God and all that He is and all that He's going to do. So I just want to encourage you during this time to speak boldly and confidently to one another about your testimony. Be really good listeners. Listen to not only what they're saying, but what God is saying through those who are sharing their testimony. And then ask God to use not only what you've shared, but what other people have shared with you to begin to not only know Him more, but know His plan and where you fit into it, and how to really encourage and spur one another on, not only in your group, but in those that God has on your path of His destiny for you that you're going to encounter, and you're going to get to share His story to them as well. So I just pray that the Lord blesses you richly as you share your testimony and as you listen to one another's testimony as well.